Welcome to the Shells Exchange podcast, where we discuss all things women, whether it's dating, relationships, motherhood to careers, entrepreneurship, or securing your seat at the table. The Shells Exchange gives influencers who may not be considered mainstream a platform to share their perspectives in a comfortable and safe space. Shilene Aaron is a wife and mom of four, currently working full-time and residing in the Midwest. Shilene is the creator of the Mama Mogul Community, podcast host, speaker, and creative coach who specializes in helping the Melanated Mama regain clarity of their dreams and goals after entering into motherhood. Shilene launched the Mama Mogul brand in 2018 after years of putting her life on hold and feeling stuck in her journey. She did the work to regain clarity that she could be as a mother, and so much more. The Mama Mogul's mission is to inspire and empower moms aiming to fulfill their dreams and live life out loud. With Christ at the core, the Mama Mogul will help you define your dreams and find the courage and passion to live through the confidence that motherhood is a decision, not a destination. Hi, Shilene. It's so
Hello.
It's so exciting to have you here today to speak about your brand. I already gave our audience a little bit of who you are and what your brand is, but I want you to tell us. Just start from childhood, though. Take us back to childhood and take us to today, Shilene.
Ooh, okay. So let me do this quick. So Shilene, I was raised in a two-parent home, two sisters. I'm the oldest in the Midwest. We are a church-going family. You know, my dad was a preacher. My mom played the organ. Me and my sister sang in the choir. So, growing up, it was church, school, family. That basically was what my, surrounding was growing up. So I'm a faith-filled believer. And, I always had I don't want to say a knack, but I always had the gift of inspiration, of inspiring others, the gift of like motivating, the gift of being able to see the good in all situations, regardless of how bad it is. I'm just a very optimistic person. I enjoy uplifting. I'm that person in my friend group who is like the encourager, who's a person that if somebody feels down, like, let's turn this situation around. How can we do this? How can we, I'm providing those suggestions. So I'm the one that they call the strong friend, but we also have our days too. And when you're the person that carries the weight of everybody else,
Right.
Plus your own, that can bring on a lot of different things, which kind of, brought on as I got into my adulthood, got married and had children. Well, first I was a single mother. Then I got married and had two more children. So I have four altogether. I'm a wife and a mother of four, a career woman, building my brand, the Mama Mogul, in the community. But I dealt with a little bit of anxiety and depression along the way because you try to live up to these expectations and standards of being, everything to everybody and being like a perfect mother, perfect wife, and all of that. So, I kind of lost myself and I lost like that ambition. I lost those dreams, those goals. I lost clarity and focus. And once I did the work and kind of like had to like really rely on God and prayer to get me through that hard season that I went through, I was like, listen, I have got to do this for other people because I just felt like God was calling me. He was like, look, you've been through this. You didn't go through that just for yourself, but he's calling me to help other people move, not just people. Let me specify. My community, the Mama Mogul community, is for women that are mothers and that are trying to regain clarity in their focus after entering into motherhood. And I just felt like God was calling me to help them move from surviving to thriving because I was so stuck in that survival mode for so long. And I was like, I'm tired of being here. Like I literally some days had to just pick myself up and move and say, look, you got to move today. You've got to do something today. So I just help them gain that clarity to get back in the game, so to speak, and pick it back up and know that you can be a mother and so much more. You don't have to just stay in that lane as a mother. So I know that was a lot, but
No, that was good. That was, whew, you're making me want to cry. Because I'm a mom too of a 9-year-old, and you just kind of took me through a lot of the phases that I've gone through already. And it's sometimes where you're right. I literally had to pick myself up, get out of bed, tell myself you got to go to work. And I don't even know how I did it, to be honest with you. I just knew I had to do it. So
right.
I know why the Mama Mogul is necessary. Why do you think the Mama Mogul is necessary for women?
I think it's necessary for women to know that their mothers, specifically, to know that they're not the only ones going through something. And that's one thing that I hear when I, talk about things on my Instagram or, go live, and just kind of when I'm transparent is kind of when the connections and the feedback, people are more responsive and engage more, because they want to know that they can relate to you, that you're a real person. You're not perfect, because they're not perfect. And then I want it to be a community where mothers feel like, I can voice whatever is going on, whether it's something that somebody might deem on the outside as, oh, she's a bad mother. We don't have bad mothers here. We're all doing our best. And it takes a village to not only raise the children, but it takes us mothers, a village of us sticking together and encouraging and inspiring us. It's nothing for me to hop in somebody's DMs and say, hey girl, how you doing today? If I know, like, I have a friend on Instagram, she's on the West Coast, but I'm like, I know she just had a baby. Hey, what's going on? And I was checking with her before she even had the baby, because in this pandemic, I can't imagine being pregnant right now. That's a scary, scary thought with everything that's going on. And she was like, oh my gosh, you have no idea. This really, really helped me. And then she went on with the longest message, in the DM, which was fine with me, because that's why I reached out. I didn't reach out just, in hopes to hear her say, oh, I'm good, and go on. If somebody has something to say or want to get something off their chest, they need to vent, or they need advice, they need suggestions, or just want a listening ear, that's what I want this community to be about. So it's necessary for us all to communicate and talk and engage and be supportive to each other. We don't have a lot of support systems for moms of color. And while there's nothing wrong with the other mothers, but moms of color, we kind of stick out like a sore thumb, So we're women, and we're women of color.
Right.
So basically, that's why I think it is so important to exist. And there's other motherhood platforms that are awesome, that I connect with, that are great. And we each have our own niche, so to speak. And mine is just like purpose to focus on you propelling even after you enter into motherhood.
Right. I think it's so important for mothers to know that other mothers also experience these things
Yes,
that we're experiencing.
exactly.
I never thought about that. Um, I don't think it's that I didn't know necessarily. I just didn't think about it, because you're just so focused on getting through the day and doing what you have to do. So I think it's very important that you mentioned that. We do need support. We do need the resources to help us to get through this. I think it's very important that you're providing this as a resource for women. So what are your other plans for the Mama Mogul? Where do you want to see this brand go?
Oh, I have so many things brewing in my head. I'm working on my first product, for one, and I'm really excited about that. That's a challenge in itself to do the research and all of that, but I can feel the community calling for something. So I'm actually working on two things, and they'll kind of go hand in hand. But I also see events. Like I had an event that I was planning for September, but with this going on, I was like, even if the gathering, you know, limitation is lifted, I want to be sensitive to people's needs, because some people haven't been working, you know, or some people just maybe trying to get back into the routine even after it's all lifts, and who knows what the mental state will be, emotionally, just all of that. So I just wanted to be sensitive to that. So that event I'm pushing back to 2021, and it's actually going to be a motherhood retreat. So I want moms to come together and just love on each other, pour into each other, be poured into, feel kind of like a girlfriend's weekend, because it's one thing to hang with your girls and other women and stuff, but it's one thing when it's like all mothers, because you're like, okay, they get what I'm saying. So we could be talking about our hair, our nails, careers, goals, whatever. And then the next minute we might be talking about our kids, our husbands, our spouses, or whatever, you know. So you don't feel like, because when you're with a group of women and people that don't have kids, sometimes I feel like they're kind of looking at me like, I have no idea what she's talking about, you know, and I want to jump off and talk about what my 19-month-old did last night, you know. So I think just having that community of relatable women to reach out to, and then you all kind of just have similarities and you know, comparable things going on with each other, even though you all are in a different phases or seasons or stages of your life. But you're like, oh girl, I remember when I was going through potty training, like, you know. So I want to have events like that. I want to have like masterminds where we could all get together and just discuss like our goals and bounce ideas off of each other. And, you know, so there's so many different things, and I eventually want to have a conference, which I know there's other motherhood conferences, but this conference that I have in mind is, I have not seen it yet. So, so that's where I see products, I see events, I see masterminds, I see conferences. I even see, you know, me doing some webinars. If you had asked me this a year ago, I wouldn't have said any of this probably. Maybe like a brunch or something, you know. But God has expanded the vision, even within these 6 weeks of the quarantine.
Yes, you're very right. And I think it's important that you also brought up that there are a lot of other brands that are doing things for moms and conferences and things like that. What I like to say about that is that when you walk through the bread aisle, you got Wonder Bread, you got Schmitz, you got, I don't know, potato bread, rye bread, pumpernickel bread. You got all these types of breads, and they still get sold. And it's
Yes.
because there is someone for that particular bread.
Right.
Just like in this situation and many others, there's somebody for the Mama Mogul. You know, I might like the Mom Fronts, but I might also like the Mama Mogul because you're giving me something different and it suits my needs a little bit more or better at that time. So what I'm hearing is you're sort of like a teacher. So you're teaching us how to be supportive, how to get advisement, how to still be ourselves through motherhood. And I just feel like I appreciate this type of brand because so many times we get lost in just being a mom and we don't know how to pull ourselves together or pull ourselves out of that. So to have you as a resource, I think it's very important to promote that resource, especially you saying that you want to do webinars. And so that just shows me that you want to teach us a little bit more. Do you know specifically what you want to teach right now?
I never thought of it that way, but I do have a course or something in mind that I just need to like pull the trigger on and just do it. And a lot of the reason why I haven't done some of the things is because, like you said, that there's other people or other brands already doing it. but I do need to keep in mind that what God has given me is for me, and there is somebody that needs to hear it, that needs to receive it. So I do have some things that I want. One in particular has to do with being able to hone in on your gifts and your creativity, and your, pushing that out with purpose. So kind of being, because a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what my gift is, or I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't, I'm a mom. I mean, I remember when I did a vision board. I love vision boards. I did a vision board event. I haven't done one in a while, but it was few years ago, actually. And there was a new mom in there, and it wasn't just for moms, it was for women. It was before I started the brand. And she was in there and she just broke down crying. Because we went around, I think I went around the room at first and asked them, like, what do you feel like your purpose is, your gift in life? What is your vision or whatever? And she cried. She was like, I mean, I'm just a mom. And I'm like, no, you're not just a mom. And I'm just now remembering this story. And this story is one of the reasons why I started the Mama Mogul also. And I was like, you're not just a mom. No, and it's not just a mom. I'm a mother and so much more. Because just to me brings in a negative connotation where it's like, yeah, I'm a mom, but I'm a mother. I'm joyful in being a mother. Are there times where I don't see the joy in it? Of course. But it brings me more joy than it takes away, So when you talk about being a mother, you've got to talk about it in a sense as, listen, I'm a mother. There's so many women that want to be mothers. Like, you got to own that. You've got to be grateful for that. You've got to accept your position that God has given you. It's a decision, not a destination. It's something that has been sought in a bad, it has been brought bad light to, light has been brought to it in a bad way. Like, you can only do this if you're a mom. But what I like to do is change that around and say, you can do this because you're a mom. Mothers make some of the best employees, or make some of the best business owners, brands and moguls, let's just say that. Because everything that we're doing in our home equates to everything else. We can, you're managing your home, you're managing your bills, you're managing, your chores, laundry, your children, meal planning, grocery shopping. All of that is so strategic, and you have to plan it out. You're multitasking. That's a business. All of that is business. Running your home is, if you think of it as business. When I was a single mother, I didn't think of staying home because I was a single mom and I was doing everything by myself, and I was just in the rat race and trying to climb the corporate ladder. So I literally would look at the women that stayed at home, and I'm like, ugh, I could never do that. I don't see how they, why would they want to be at home all day changing diapers, cooking, cleaning, and all that? But now that I have evolved, I have some experience under my belt, and I've got wisdom. I see the beauty in being able to care for your family, your home, and the beauty in motherhood. That's something that comes with experience. And I had to go through some really tough times to get there. So, again, I know this is a lot, but I could go on and on.
It's all good. How did you get to that point?
To seeing the beauty and the joy in motherhood?
Yes, because it's very difficult to get through.
Yes. It took a long time, a very long time. I was a single mother for 10 years, and my grandmother, who's a great asset and probably my most inspirational person in my life, she's one of the ones that taught me that. And she really helped me. I would work a lot of hours. I would work weekends, and I was an event planner. So, my hours were kind of crazy sometimes. And so she helped me, and she would keep the kids for me. And I get off work late sometimes and I call and be like, okay, I'm coming to get the kids. She's like, you ain't coming up in here. You better go home. These kids are in the bed, but she was the one that would tell me that, you need to slow down. You need to take a break. She's like, you need to take some time for you. And I'll never forget the first trip that I took with some friends, because she was like, you'll have a nervous breakdown. You need to take care of you, because when you take care of you, then you're a better mom to your children, and so it took a lot to learn that. And I didn't see that. And a lot of times I would be edgy and frustrated, and I didn't have patience. And she would say, slow down and enjoy the moments with them, because when they get older, you're going to wish you had those moments back, and she's a mother of 6, and I don't know how many grand and greats she has now, but she was like, you trust me, you will want those days back one day. And at that time, I'm like, no, I'm not. I need to, no. But it's so true. My oldest is 17. My oldest two, 17 and 15. And it's so true. Like now I can look back at a lot of moments, and I did cherish some moments, but I look back and I'm like, oh, if I could just go back into that time and spend more time with them, or if I could go back and do this again and do that. So it just comes with experience, and it comes with, opening up your heart and your mind and allowing yourself to feel all the feels, because I did not always feel joyful, and it's okay, but then once you get to that time and that moment in life where it's like, you realize, okay, it's not about the fast track. It's not about climbing the corporate ladder. It's about what matters most. And I finally realized that what matters most is my family, my children, my husband. I posted something the other day that said, the most important thing you will do in life is within the 4 walls of your home. And when you're young, you don't realize that. I'm not gonna say everybody, but most of the time, when you're young, you just don't get that. You're too busy trying to make money and go on vacations and see how you can have the good life, but when you become seasoned, you realize what really matters. So it just takes time.
Okay. Well, Shilene, this does not come with the manual, being a mom. So what I would want to ask you is, what advice would you give to mothers?
One of the main things I would say is that your journey is your own, and nobody else is in your shoes. Nobody else has your children. You're going to get all kinds of advice from everybody, but you take what you need and leave the rest. Everybody's life is different. When I give advice to people, I always tell them, this is what worked for me. You have to find what works for you. So don't compare yourself to my 17 years of motherhood because, and you just had a baby and say, oh my gosh, she seems like she's balancing everything and she's like really good. And how does she not get stressed out about this or that or whatever? And don't get me wrong, I still have my moments, but how is she able to be joyful about things and let things go? Like my oldest children tell me that I have 2 younger ones. And so they tell me that I let the younger ones get away with stuff that I didn't let them get away with. Mm-hmm. But it's like my grandmother told me about her kids and the grandkids. She goes, her kids would tell her the same thing. Like, you let the grandkids get away with everything. She goes, well, I was learning with y'all. Now I have more sense. Now I have more wisdom and I know. So it's kind of like that. It's like with them, I was learning. And so now with my younger 2, it's like I have more wisdom. And I realized it's okay if they spill milk. You can wipe it up. It's okay if the chips fall out of the bag. You can vacuum it up, whereas before I would like get in an uproar about it. And it's like, it's okay. So, don't compare yourself to somebody's chapter 10 when you're in chapter 1. It's do what works for you. Just because you saw mama do it, that might not work for you, and then some things will.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm the youngest, so I'm the child that kind of did what I wanted at some point and nobody
Mhm.
said anything. My siblings are jealous for that. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. It was so great having this conversation with you today, exchanging advice and ideas. I really appreciate you showing up today. Can you tell us where to find you?
Yes. So you can find me on my website, themamamogul.co. You can also find me on Instagram at the Mama Mogul. And I have a podcast also. So, and I want to say congratulations to you on your podcast.
Thank you.
But my podcast is called The Mama Mogul. And you can find me on Anchor, Stitcher, Apple, Spotify, Google, all of the, mainstream platforms.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Shells Exchange podcast. You can check us out at theshellsexchange.com and the Shells Exchange on Instagram. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.